She never expected to find a ring on the day she planned to leave forever. In a quiet town where the seasons whispered secrets and memories lingered longer than people did, a ring before goodbye begins with a woman named Hannah, caught between the weight of the past and the freedom of goodbye. After years of silence, she returns, not for closure, but for escape. But fate has other plans. When she stumbles across an old engagement ring tucked beneath the floorboards of her late grandmother's house, everything changes. The ring isn't hers, but the initials carved inside belong to the one person she hoped never to see again. As Hannah unravels the truth behind a love story left unfinished, she's forced to confront a hidden past filled with betrayal, sacrifice, and the one decision that could alter her future forever. Was the ring a promise never fulfilled, or a final goodbye? Before the last train leaves, before the last words are said, Hannah must choose: hold on to the past or let it go. This is the full story of A Ring Before Goodbye, a tale of heartbreak, hope, the resilience of the heart, and the ring that refused to be forgotten. They met the way stories like this always begin, by accident and entirely unforgettable. It was spring. Hannah had missed her bus and ducked into a little bookstore to escape the rain. That's where she saw him, Kenji. He was standing in the philosophy aisle, arguing with himself over whether life was better defined by logic or poetry. Their eyes met over a copy of Letters to a Young Poet, and the world paused. From that day, the rain never really stopped following them, but neither did the laughter. He loved how she always tied her hair with old ribbons. She adored the way he scribbled half-finished poems on receipts and left them around like breadcrumbs. They built a universe of shared moments, midnight ramen runs, love notes tucked into books, fights over dumb things that ended with silent apologies and forehead kisses. It wasn't perfect, but it was theirs. The ring had come up once, a fleeting conversation about forever on a rooftop under fairy lights. He had smiled and said, "One day when I can promise everything." She didn't need it then. His words were enough, but that was before silence settled in like winter, before love started to mean letting go more than holding on. Time, as it often does, began to erode the edges of their perfect world. It wasn't sudden, it never is. It was in the skipped dinners, the messages read but not replied to, the quiet that settled in between them like fog, too thick to see through, too soft to notice right away. Kenji had dreams, big ones. Hannah had fears she couldn't name. He started staying out later, chasing something she couldn't follow. She began waking up earlier, hoping to remember who she was before him. They stopped meeting in the middle. Love, once effortless, became something they had to remind each other to hold. The rooftop conversations disappeared. The laughter echoed less and less. Every kiss felt more like a memory than a promise. And yet, neither of them said it. Not yet. They danced around the truth like it might vanish if they didn't name it. One night she found one of his poems, unfinished, scrawled in haste. It read, "What if love is a beautiful lie we tell ourselves to avoid the loneliness of truth?" It wasn't meant for her, but it felt like it was. That was the moment she knew. Some endings begin long before the goodbye is spoken. The night before goodbye didn't feel like an ending. It felt like a pause, too quiet, too calm. Hannah had returned to her grandmother's house, her heart numb and her suitcase packed. The plan was simple: leave at dawn, disappear without a trace, and finally let the silence between her and Kenji become permanent. She wandered the old house restlessly, touching memories wrapped in dust. Childhood laughter echoed faintly in the cracked walls. In the attic, beneath a loose floorboard, she found it, a velvet box, fragile with age, and inside, the ring. Delicate, familiar, too familiar. Her breath caught when she saw the initials carved inside, K and H. She hadn't seen Kenji in months. No messages, no closure, just a slow fade. But here, in the house of her childhood, was the ring they once only dreamed about. Why was it here? When did he leave it? Was it meant for her or someone else? That night, Hana sat with the ring in her palm, haunted by what could have been. She replayed their story in her mind, trying to rewrite the ending, trying to remember if the love had ever really left, or if it had just been buried. And outside, the first train of morning howled in the distance. She almost didn't go. Standing at the edge of the station platform with the cold wind curling around her coat and the ring burning in her pocket, Hana tried to convince herself that closure didn't require confrontation, but something pulled her back. A memory, a whisper, or maybe just the unbearable weight of not knowing. She found Kenji in the old cafe where they had their first date, still scribbling on napkins, still stirring his coffee counterclockwise. He looked up, and for a moment, the silence between them was louder than the trains outside. Neither of them smiled. "I found it," she said softly, placing the ring on the table. His eyes dropped to the box, then slowly returned to hers. "I was going to give it to you the night before you left," he whispered. "But I was too late, and I thought maybe if you ever came back." "Why didn't you say something?" she asked, voice cracking. "Because I didn't want to make you stay." The goodbye wasn't dramatic. No shouting, no tears. Just two people who loved each other too deeply to hold on, and too much to let go completely. The ring stayed on the table. She walked out before he could stop her. Weeks passed. The ring never left Hana's bag, though she never wore it. Sometimes she'd take it out at night, trace the engraving with her thumb, and wonder if love always ended like this, with questions echoing louder than answers. Then one evening, a letter arrived. No return address, just her name, written in Kenji's handwriting. Inside was a page torn from his journal. It read, "I bought the ring 2 years ago. Not for an engagement, not yet, but as a promise. A reminder that no matter where we went, I'd find my way back to you. I left it at your grandmother's house the night before she passed, thinking you'd go there when you needed peace. I didn't know it'd take this long, or hurt this much." At the bottom, in hurried scrawl, "If love is about holding on, maybe letting go is how we prove it was real." In that moment, the story shifted. The ring wasn't just a goodbye. It was a map, a silent message, hidden in time. He hadn't vanished. He had waited, and she had run from something meant to bring her home. She stood at the train station once more, only this time, there was no suitcase. Just the ring in her hand and a choice in her heart. The letter had answered every question but one. What now? The past was real. The love, the silence, the goodbye. It all mattered, but it didn't have to be the end. Hana slipped the ring back into its box, not as a symbol of pain, but of understanding. Sometimes love doesn't arrive when we expect it. Sometimes it waits quietly in the places we've left behind. She walked away from the station, not toward Kenji, not away from him, but toward herself. And in the quiet of a new morning, she whispered, "Thank you to the wind, for the love, for the loss, for the ring that reminded her that even in goodbye, there can be beginnings." If this story moved you, leave a comment, share your thoughts, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories that stay with you long after the screen fades to black.
With subtle strings, gentle build up with soft crescendos, melancholy, yet hopeful, echoes of memories, love, and quiet goodbyes. Perfect for a bittersweet romantic drama like